Time for the Heavy Hitters outside our Beacon Hill studio, joined by Peter Kagis, a man who lives in Jamaica Plain but vacations up in Maine. Cosmo Macero, a man who owns a house in Marshfield and then apparently vacationed in Chatham last week.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Best week on the Cape you could probably get.
But you have a place in Marshfield. I don't get that.
Two completely different experiences. Two completely different experiences.
Very different ocean, that Marshfield-Chatham ocean.
Okay, are you kidding me?
Nonetheless, fellas, let's start with Mitt Romney, because Mitt Romney's got a couple of big problems right now. One is his tax records. Two is the place where he earned the money to pay those taxes. That would be Bain Capital. He's got a Bain problem and a tax problem, Cosmo. How does he fix either of these?
Yeah, well, look, on the tax thing, I always come down in favor of disclosure. The standard among candidates is you disclose. People want to see that information. They want to know where your money came from. They want to know what your interests are.
And does it matter what John Kerry did? Because their defense is, well, Kerry only...
It doesn't matter what anyone else does, but the standard now is that people are disclosing. And, you know, it doesn't make sense to try to hide or to suggest that because of what a prior candidate did, I'm not going to do it. So I think you got to come out and bring that information. In terms of Bain, you know, the record, he's being criticized about when he actually left, understood. But the record of what he did at Bain, to claim that they created 100,000 jobs, he gets credit for that really easily, almost too easily. It's kind of like if you own, say, shares in an index mutual fund, saying, you know what, I helped create jobs at Apple, and I helped create jobs at IBM. It's not a lot different than that. There isn't that much involvement or less involvement in the actual company. Good book on Mitt Romney and Bain. This thing on Amazon, Power, Money, and God. It's an Amazon book. Probably the best stuff I've read about Bain and really the record of what he did there. It's very different than what people think.
I guess we know what you read when you're on the beach in Chatham. Peter, you shocked to see that the business guy is getting hit on two business fronts here?
No, not surprised at all. I agree with everything Cosmo said, but the problem goes deeper than that. The Romney campaign is a big vacuum. It's a campaign really about nothing. It's a campaign about Romney not being Barack Obama. As a result, when a real issue like these two pop up, everything just whooshes in to fill that black hole. Listen, when you have two of the leading Republican commentators, George Will and Bill Kristol, both calling for him to release their tax returns, I don't see why he just doesn't do it. I mean, this may not mean much to hardcore base Republicans, but to the independent voters who will decide this election, I have to assume that this puts a big question mark over Romney.
Optics are important.
The most non-private role in America, maybe in the world, is President of the United States. So privacy is out the window.
With that being said, if he wants Operation Change the Subject, he can name a vice presidential selection, which we're hearing rumors he may do. Is it going to be Jindal? Is it going to be Rubio? Is it going to be Pawlenty? Or is it going to be Condi Rice?
You know, I think it's anyone's guess. I think it would make sense for him right now to grab the moment, and it's just now he has this window before we have to wait a while to make that selection or to make that announcement. I got to think they're close to if they haven't already made the choice. All of those seem reasonable for different different reasons in terms of the electoral map or the cultural elements of different people or having a woman on the ticket and so forth. So you know.
I don't know. People who were mentioned early on for VP almost never make it. Condi Rice is definitely not going to make it because of her position on choice.
I'll hold you to that, but I think you're right.
Because of her position on choice. There would be a revolution at the convention if he named Condi Rice, who, by the way, would probably be a good vice president, however one is to define that. But
you can make it, I mean, how much of an impact does that person have on the?
None.
It's all about the president.
I agree.
And it's you know.
But that's a story that we'll talk about because it's the dog days of summer.
Sure.
Quickly, let's talk about the building behind us. Boston Globe says the probation scandal is continuing to be looked at by the feds. Question is Bob DeLeo, who says in the paper today, A, he's not being investigated. B, he has not testified yet. Either of those surprise you, Cosmo?
Well, yeah, because they don't necessarily fit together. He says, my lawyer tells me I'm not a target. And then he says, I've also not been called to testify. It sounds like, you know, the conversation he had with his lawyer would be about why you're being called to testify. And by the way, you're not a target. Nonetheless, you know, the culture of, or the breadth of this scandal suggests that there's going to be a lengthy and deep investigation. And I think we're going to hear about this for months to come.
Why wouldn't you want DeLeo to testify if you're the feds, Peter?
I don't know. I can't answer that question.
Other than you're looking at him. I mean, I don't get it otherwise.
Listen, the thing that's really problematic here is the federal government has the power, is so powerful that it could indict a ham sandwich if it wanted to. And I think that they're they're turning this into a jihad. They're trying to criminalize typical political behavior of swapping favors. Now, I think going after the former speaker was all well and good. But if more indictments are to come, I'd like to see something more than, begging for jobs as the basis for any indictments.
That Globe article had a bad taste to it as you read it. Swapping jobs is one thing. This looked like a little something different. Peter Cadges of the Phoenix, Cosmo Macero, O'Neill & Associates. They are the heavy hitters. The Fox 25 News at 8 starts right now.